In order to, the prove this claim, he also gives them a very interesting kind of story. And Michigan Law School admit the student, but according to their affirmative action, they are supposed to admit a certain portion from underrepresented minority, those who have maybe in the poor, low income kind of economic status, or the race wise, underrepresented minorities such as, African American in comparison to the white American. So then, all of a sudden they realized that some of, African American student who admitted this kind of law school has overall the lower average score in the admission entry exam, whereas the white Americans are much more higher. So the white people are claimed and try to sue them that this is unfair because I got higher score than the African American, but I was rejected while the person is admitted. It is unfair. I got higher score, therefore I have to be admitted. In order to resolve this one, Michigan Law School conducted a longitudinal study about those who graduate their school, white American, a higher kind of GPA admission kind of score versus African American who has lower, entry exam score, who complete their degree successfully and then go out to the real world and spend 30 years. They try to measure the impact of their role in their society according to their reputation, their income, and activities, and so on and so forth. And they try to compare and contrast. What they found is that when this African American and white American, when they enter this school, the actual, the exam score has significantly different. The white Americans are higher than African Americans. However, 20 or 30 years later, their impact, their influence, their role and responsibility that they fulfill, according to their metrics, there's no difference. What does this imply is that those who are admitted as an African American student are good enough to perform Michigan Law School all the curriculum. So they are able to solve at least this kind of question, like white Americans. But like Americans, African American also cannot solve this one. So they may be in the kind of similar zone in terms of the cognitive level that they are good enough to conduct the curriculum education without any problem. Yet still, according to the score, the white Americans are smarter than African Americans in their entry exam. But 30 years later, there's no difference because this cognitive activity is based on all the well-defined problem. And next 30 years, what they have been doing is real-world problem solving. The cognition or metacognition didn't have enough predictability once they have enough basic level of ability. I don't know whether or not you got it, but that is my point that, once we have enough kind of cognitive level, then the outcome of real world problem solving is depending on other factors. So one of the biggest example is that smart people in the world made very unethical decisions to jeopardize their community and society because they have lack of moral value or not good philosophical foundation. So the cognition and their smartness can be overwritten by their philosophical foundation. So these are kind of examples that we we experience every day. So along this line, the next claim is that therefore individuals' personal epistemology and also professional identity matter for problem solving. The first, I just want to talk about the personal epistemology. As I indicated in this layer, the personal epistemology actually located in between the professional identity and cognition and metacognition. I think personal epistemology means that a certain view about the nature of knowledge and knowing. So it is a question about your belief about how do I know what I know? Am I correct? Or how do I know what I know is correct? Kind of things. I think, those who has a little bit more matured epistemological foundation, they even question about their understanding, their knowing. They know about what you know might be wrong. So they are always careful about communicating with others. Versus some people has a strong belief that what I know is truth. So those are kind of philosophical foundation. Basically, this construct was discovered by Harvard University professors in early 1950s, 60s. Professor's name is Perry. What he experienced was in the classroom was very strange. In one of his class, that all of a sudden he gave a lecture, but the student in Harvard who took his course divided by two different groups. One group, expressed that they expressed the excitement of this lecture, and the other group expressed concern and complaint about this lecture and this class. He tried to understand why. Harvard University student is a very homogeneous student who has highest, SAT score and highest activity and good, the leadership. So most of them are very homogeneous. Why? In the same classroom, they got the same experience from me, but have two different, fundamentally different experience outcomes. And he tried to understand why this happening. What is the factor that mediate their learning experience from the same stimulus? What he found was that some sort of, at the time, he didn't mention that as a personal epistemology, but I think there is a kind of construct that mediate this kind of experience. What he said that there is kind of belief about the knowledge and their perspective. Some people has dualistic approach. The person is always trying to classify all of the information between right or wrong answer, white and black, good and evil. So there's only two words, so right or wrong. And then as they become a little bit more mature, they realize that between white and black, there are gray areas. There are many different perspectives and opinions possible. It is not necessary to be true or not, but there are different perspectives. And I think each of them makes sense. So then that is the multiplicity. Between black and white, there are gray kind of positions, and everything, every perspective makes sense. I don't care. And then the next level is that, yes, there are multiple perspectives existing. However, depending on the context and situation and constraint that we have, there are certain perspectives that can be more beneficial to understand the problem or tackling with the situation. Or a couple different kind of perspective can be combined to create a new perspective to better solve the problem. That is the contextual relativism. And then the next level is that, with the commitment, I think, in this context, in this situation, although it is violate the textbook kind of protocol, but I think a given situation, I am certain that the different approach is better then I would do this with my commitment. This is the kind of example could be like in the medical context, the medical doctor understand the basic protocol, but for the sake of the patient, sometimes the person may violate the regular protocol or procedure and then change the situation, change the protocol to better serve. But at the time, I think the good doctor will be indicate that I'm responsible for any kind of better outcomes, but I believe this is my best kind of trial. So these are kind of different, the personal epistemology has different spectrum. I have one good video clip from a Korean drama that I would like to share with you that demonstrate the difference between this epistemological standpoint and how this kind of different epistemology can contribute the problem solving differently. This is a kind of one of the Korean drama. It's called Hojun. Hojun is the kind of Western, the Eastern doctor. This drama portrayed his life, become the born and raised in the in a very poor and low social status, but he certainly meet the master doctor and got trained and become a royal physician in his the senior life. So, but this scene is when he was a student, an intern, and the center is the master, and there are two male, those are trainees, and then the backside is the nurse. And right before this scene, the patient being treated by the master while these two interns are observing the master's performance. And then the patient walked away. Then the master start to ask some question to have some discussion about the case. Did you I don't know, the English caption was there to understand this conversation, but to you, is there anyone who can explain the key difference between these two students in
Hello,
their
teacher.
Yes.
Hello, teacher. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Well, well, I want to say that from this piece of video, I found that those two students have different views and they have different key meanings. For example, one of them think that we should follow the books. What the book said is always right. But the other one think that the book didn't describe every symptoms of every patient. So they should they should discuss the problems to solve the problems by according to the real esteem, according to the real condition. So that's a key differences, I think.
Thank you. I totally agree with you. So then one student has tendency to believe the textbook is true, and the other one is, textbook is just a general, idea. When you apply textbook information to the real world context, you have to modify as needed. Let me ask this question. If these two people, these 15th centuries kind of people, and come to the current today's era, and you guys has like a college entry exam, right? I don't know what is the name of that test, but when they took that test in China, who would have better score?
The first math.
How many of you think the first one, just to, type the first, and then the second one is type 2, or I don't know, type 3. Okay, okay, okay. Most of you believe that, first the students will get better score in the test. I think, for me, I think, both of them would have similar score because this the college exam is multiple choice test. Although, June is also understand the textbook, and the option that given will be based on the textbook. June may think about, oh, in the real world, all of these options may not work. However, according to textbook or based on my experience, the one of them would be better than others. So at least in the multiple choice test, I think Hojin can also get the right answer, like Doji. So for me, I think it looks like Doji may be got the better score, but I think for me, both of them may have a good score in any way. How about this? Let's say they finished their medical school in China, and then they took the medical licensure examination. Who would be the better performer in that test? 1, 2, or 3 is same.
Maybe the second
many
one.
of them. Sorry?
The
Maybe
second
the
one.
second one. Yeah,
Second
I
one,
agree with
okay.
her. The second one.
Okay, very good guess. I think for me, I don't know the details about Chinese medical licensure examination, but based on my experience with America and China, America and South Korea, both of them may have a good score, because the still medical examination, a lot of things, basic performance or the multiple choice test. So I think it is not good enough to detect the differences. How about this? Now they graduated and got the license. Then they opened a small, hospital or the clinic. Who would you like to go choose as your the doctor, medical doctor for your symptom?
Well, now
I will choose second one.
Now
The
I
second
will
one.
pick the second one. Of course.
Second one.
Second
Because
one.
He knew how to save a real patient, I think. Not
Gotcha.
only from
Maybe-
textbook.
Maybe
Thank
both
you.
of them.
Yeah. So I think, you guys know the difference between these two people and their actual performance, but our current system of assessment didn't detect the difference, right?